So now that we have a really good understanding of how to mix colors and how to work with swatches up here in our mixer pad and do the various different mixer functions that we might want. And one function that I didn't cover is the trash can. Well, the trash can is just a clear and reset canvas. So I'm just going to click on this. That's going to take us back to our plain gray background. And here's something that's really interesting as a result of doing that. We can't undo that action. That's something that's within this own process. It's completely separate from the undos out here. If I hit Control Z, you'll see that all I did was undo the brush stroke here. I didn't actually undo the destroying of my mixer. So make sure that you save out your mixer pads if you think you might want to use them. But since we're doing this here, it's just a good idea to have some review. So I'm just going to go ahead and do some quick review for you about how to use the mixer pad. And it never hurts to have a little bit of review in that way. So there we go. I'm laying down some color and now I'm just going to mix them. And again, the idea here is that we want variation. I mean, this is the whole purpose of having something like the mixer, is to give us the type of variation that we would get with real paint in the real world if we're a traditional artist. So, there's some interesting weird colors in here, and that's of course the reason why we choose to do it this way, is because we can get some of those interesting weird colors that maybe we wouldn't necessarily find if we were doing it through a swatch set, or if we were doing it through a regular old color widget like so. So now what I want to do is I want to show you a really interesting function here, which we can use in many different ways. If we go back to our color sets, you can remember that we have a new color set from Mixer Pad. But we also have that same command over here, new color set from Mixer Pad. So what I want to do here is I want to do a little bit of house cleaning. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and turn off the Pantone set. And I'm going to go over here to the library view and choose small. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn off the painter colors as well, so that we have just a nice blank color set libraries panel here to work with. And now I could either choose from here, new color set from Mixer Pad, or I can choose it from over here, new color set from Mixer Pad. It's the same command in two different places. So I'm going to click that. And now we've got a new color set from this Mixer Pad, and you can see all the various different shades and values of color that were in this Mixer Pad organized for you in a nice new color set. So this is a really handy thing that I use sometimes when I'm looking for a very particular mixture of certain colors, but at the same time I want to have basically more or less spot colors to work with for illustration purposes. Now, in addition to that, we have a command here that's a little bit sort of odd, this add swatch to color set. Well, the idea here is that this is supposed to be the same command as add color to color set. However, it doesn't really work right. I mean, I've tried it a bunch of different times. It doesn't really work right. So my advice to you is instead, just go ahead and pick any color that you want. So if you wanted to say, oh, I want to add this sort of orangey color to this color set, just click the add swatch like so, and now it's in your color set. I don't know why this is probably something that needs to be filed under bugs. We haven't received the first patch for Coreal Painter 12 yet. By the time you're watching this, maybe that first patch will be out, in which case maybe this bug will be amongst the bugs that are fixed. But for right now, the add swatch to color set command doesn't really work. And along with this other command here, which is the dirty brush mode, which sort of inverses whatever's going on with this icon here, those two commands I would avoid in our mixer palette. But other than that, the mixer palette is a fantastically useful tool for creating and designing really traditional type color mixtures. Now, if you're a real traditional artist who's worked a lot with oil paints or acrylics or watercolors, then you're going to notice that the colors don't mix in the exact same way that they would in the real world, even if you're using the same colors. Let's say you're using a cadmium red and a sap green. If you're working with watercolor, you might be used to cadmium red and sap green mixing in a particular way, and you may find that those don't mix the same way here in the computer. And again, the reason why that is, and this is one of the disadvantages of working in the computer, is that in the real world we're working with pigment. And pigment actually is a subtractive color mixing process, meaning that when we're mixing the cadmium red and the sap green, what we're getting is this sort of duller, darker mixture of the two colors, usually kind of turns into a brown color. Whereas in the computer, where we're using additive color. So they try to approximate that mixture as best they can, but it's never really quite the same as working with it in the real world. So there will be some adjustment for people who are used to mixing their own paint on their own palettes. And that's just sort of the nature of the beast. There's not much you can do about it other than just take your time and get comfortable with the tools, because they are going to be slightly different, but they did their best to make it as close to the traditional media as they possibly could.